Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day to day lives. Let's start with the video. For some background, I'm a 22-year-old female and I met William, 24, on a dating app when I was 19. We went to colleges close by and instantly hit it off. We would text day and night, call and video chat during our initial days for about a month before we decided to meet. Our first meeting was so amazing that we both kind of knew that we'd end up together, and we did. He asked me out within the first 3 months of us knowing each other, and we have been going out ever since. We dated for about 3 years, and that's when he popped the question, and I happily said yes. We've been engaged for 1 year, and honestly, so far, I could have said I couldn't be happier until this incident took place. Well, you see, my fiancé goes on a camping trip with his friends for about a week every summer. These friends are his college friends who I have met and hung out with multiple times throughout the span of our relationship. They're truly one of the most supportive, trustworthy sets of friends one could ask for, which is why what happened puts me in so much concern. This trip was set to take place about 2 days ago. My fiancé seemed very excited, and I had no suspicion of anything was going wrong. My husband talked about this trip over the phone with his friends and talked about its logistics when they had their regular meetups at our place. Hell, he even went as far as to go out shopping with me to buy the things he needed on the trip. He spent a chunk of money on those too, so there was literally no way I would have known that things were going to turn upside down, but unfortunately they did. If you all asked me if there was anything suspicious in his behavior, keeping aside the camping trip, I would definitely say that his screen time had increased. But I really didn't think that forms the basis of being suspicious, because his screen time has always been fluctuating from using his phone too much, sometimes too little. Do I think this is something I should have taken into consideration for what happened? I don't know, which is why I'm here. But anyway, back to the topic. Well, this trip was set to take place on a Monday, and my fiancé very excitedly went to sleep on the night before. I remember I even teased him for the same fact. When he woke up, he took so much effort to get his things together, pack it all in his car trunk, and greet me goodbye before driving off. I start to plan my own thing. I need to do something to spend this weekend by myself, and so much time on my hand just meant one thing: to make plans with my friends. So I get to that and don't really expect a call or an update from my fiancé until the next day of the trip, until they're all set. Usually he does call me on the first day itself, but I don't really worry about it when he doesn't, because I had him on location tracker. What's there to worry about, right? Oh man, I was wrong. My anxiety was going to flood in the very next day. So yesterday, I got a call from William's very close friend, Robert. Although William was very close to all his friends, Robert was his closest. It was a bit odd to me that Robert was calling me up instead of William, but I thought to myself that it might be due to poor signal. But when I picked up the call, it just got weirder. I was greeted by Robert's voice, and I greeted him back. We exchanged the regular how are yous and such before I asked him if I could talk to William. Robert's tone instantly changed into one full of confusion as he asked me what I was talking about. I don't say anything because at this point I thought that Robert was just messing with me. But it all comes out to me when he asks me once again what I'm talking about. I ask him if William isn't with him, and he says no. I am starting to get anxious at this point, and he tells me that although William said he would come meet us at the local park so that they all would drive together, he never showed up. They tried calling me and him multiple times to no avail. My phone has been out of signal, so it's understandable if he did call me and I just didn't notice. But why would William not pick up his calls? My heart starts to beat extremely fast as I listen to all of this. I start to think of the worst, and my silence gives it all to Robert. He tells me not to worry and just to try to contact William through every way possible, and if it's of no avail, to contact him so that he and all his friends can drive back to help me out. I thank him before hanging up. I first decided to call my in-laws, his office colleagues, his school friends, and every possible person that he could possibly go to. Hell, I even called up my family to check if he was with them, and literally no one had an idea of his whereabouts. Initially, I thought it would just be that he decided to change his plans or drive to his family due to some emergency, or just go to one of his friends. This isn't the first time he's done something like this. He often leaves the house to buy groceries but ends up making a trip to his parents or his friends on his way without letting me know. This wasn't the same. This was different. The extent of this wasn't just limited to him making a small trip, because if it was that, he would have picked up the call, and hell, who just changes their mind an hour before a trip so they spent so much money on? Well, I wouldn't, but I guess my fiancé would. Well, it's been a day since I received the news of William and Robert, and I have been in constant contact since. He has been helping me immensely and guiding me as to what steps to take, because honestly, in this state of panic, I'm genuinely concerned, and so is William's friend. In the same manner, I was suggested by Robert to check William's location on the location tracker we both had installed on each other's phone. Honestly, I don't know why this hadn't clicked to me earlier, but I guess it's never too late. So that's exactly what I did. I checked his location, which was surprisingly not hidden, and it was literally in a neighborhood 2 hours away from where we live. This neighborhood is familiar, very close to the college that we went to. This was kind of shocking to me, as there was no one that we knew of living there except for Alyssa. Alyssa was William's high school sweetheart. They dated all throughout high school and until the second year of college. During the third, William and I met. Alyssa was a part of William's life even when we started dating. He had told me so, and I honestly understood. Coming from a similar relationship background, I totally understood that two exes could be friends, and so I let him. Alyssa, too, never gave me the opportunity to doubt her or try to do anything that would make me suspicious of her. So I just let them be. They did not stay friends for too long, though, as their friendship started dwindling by the time they both graduated from undergrad school, and now, as far as I knew, neither of us knew about Alyssa's whereabouts except for the fact that her parents owned an apartment extremely close to the college. And that is where she lived. I waited for a couple of hours to see if this location would change, and surprisingly it did. His location moved onto a couple of blocks away to an apartment complex close to Alyssa's house, and from there to a grocery store. My heart sunk instantly. I knew something wrong was going on here. My mind goes blank as I get the most disgusting feeling in my gut. My instinct tells me that I need to get out of this situation and talk to someone before I get into a full-blown panic attack. But before this, I send William one final text. "I know where you are," is all it said, and I drove myself to my sister's place. I know William saw my text because his location is now set to private, and the read receipts on the text say that the text is read. I'm currently talking to my sister, who says she is on my side, but that I may be wrong for checking his location and driving myself here, because I still don't know the reason behind why he left. I don't think I'm wrong here, but I might be, so Reddit, AITA. Okay, I read all of your responses and decided to drive myself to Alyssa's place. William still hasn't contacted me or anyone I know, so I know it would be worth it to go check for myself what is actually going on. So today I drove myself to the neighborhood along with a friend of mine and first decided to visit Alyssa's place, and surprisingly it was locked. I knocked and rang on the door a couple of times, and I guess that was enough to bring her neighbor's attention. I was greeted by a guy in his early 20s, probably a college student, who informed me that Alyssa does not live here, but just visits here once in a while. I thank him for the information, and I'm not sure why, but he continues talking to me. He informs me furthermore that I would have been in luck if I came yesterday, because that is when she was here with a guy friend of hers. Apparently, she and this friend of hers were here since Monday and only left in a hurry yesterday. He seemed like he hated Alyssa because he gave me all the answers that I needed within a few seconds of the conversation. I thank him once again and ask him if he knows Alyssa personally. He tells me no, but that he's used to women coming up to her door and knocking every once in a while, so he doesn't mind helping them. He says this and just leaves like it isn't a huge deal at all, but me and my friend are left open-mouthed as we know what he is implying by this. Now, I know there is no other way that I can contact Alyssa. She isn't on any social media. I don't really have any of her contact information, nor do I know where she currently lives. So I do the next best thing I can in my power and visit the second address that William visited. This apartment looks much cheaper than the one Alyssa owns, and looks like a typical one for college students. I knock on the door and I'm greeted by a young girl who's very sweet. I ask her about William by showing her a picture of him, and she seems shocked. She invites me in, gives me a cup of coffee, and sits me down to explain everything to me. It still makes me sick to my stomach to type this out because the wounds are so fresh to me, but here it goes. I was told by her that she met William on a dating app, and he claimed that he wasn't in a relationship. He told her that he was new to the city and wanted to make friends and maybe find a friend who with benefits. They talked for about 15 days before they decided to meet, and that was yesterday. They met and instantly hooked up. The girl apologized to me profusely when she realized that I was his fiancé and told me that I could stay back here until I was feeling well enough to go back home. It was extremely sweet of her to even consider that, and honestly, I can't even blame anyone here except William. I drove back home to my sister's house and am going to move in with a friend for the time being. Needless to say, I'm ending this relationship. I have no interest in being with a cheater, and I would rather stay single than with someone so desperate. Next week onwards, I will start apartment hunting. I will update you all once I get in contact with William. Not sure why, but William finally returned home today. I mean, I was hoping that he would just move in with one of his Tinder dates or his exes, but unfortunately, I know I had to face him one day or the other. He called me up and told me we had to meet to talk about the situation. I told him, indeed we do, but not at our house. I told him that I would only meet him at a local cafe in public, and he agreed. So we meet, and William looks like he's extremely nervous, understandably so, because now he has to tell me all about his dirty little lie. Well, we sit down and start talking, and he starts off by telling me that he is sorry, how he loves me so much and other BS. I just listen to him, and after a while, he starts spilling out the story. Apparently, this is the first time he's ever done something like this, and he's not sure why. He told me that when he made this plan, he was supposed to cancel his trip at the last moment and also shut his location off. So neither Robert nor I would know that he's not at home or on the trip. But he forgot to do any of that and figured since I hadn't called the first day, I wouldn't really bother to check up on him. His first concern was the fact that I wouldn't go to the cops, and so he would check his texts. This makes no sense, I know, but I guess in his immature mind, it did. He told me that he was extremely remorseful and sorry for what he had done and really wanted to work on us and our communication. I laugh at his face as I tell him that there is going to be no communication between us to try to fix it to begin with. I'm breaking things off with him, and his reaction was so underwhelming that it said everything I needed to know. But honestly, it was better than having to comfort a 24-year-old mess of a man in public. I guess the news spread to his family through Robert, who I was updating about everything throughout, and I received calls from all of them apologizing for what he had done. His family is full of kind, sweet, and considerate people, so it breaks my heart for them to see how their son has turned out, regardless of the efforts they put in to raise him. This is going to be my last update as I'm now going to become busy with my move. I have a lot to figure out and to work on before I even consider getting into the dating scene again. Thank you all for your wonderful advice and support so far. I honestly would have just sat back and believed everything William told me if it wasn't for you all. NTA, I mean, what else were you supposed to do? Your fiancé is missing since the past couple of days, and I feel like this was the best move. Don't let your sister let you down and continue your search for your husband. NTA, but where are the cops in all this? I think you should have called them up before anything else. But by the looks of it, it seems like your fiancé is just fine, but you may have to start looking out for yourself. Good luck. I know the title sounds awful, but just hear me out. I'm a 23-year-old female. My brother, John, fake name, 29, is getting married later this summer. We've never really gotten along. We always fight, but ultimately we're family. John is engaged to his fiancée, Carol, fake name, 27, and they had a baby about 2 months ago. I've got to be honest, this baby is not cute. Normally, I wouldn't say anything, but Carol will not shut up about her baby. My family got together recently to do updated family photos, and Carol wouldn't stop gushing about how adorable her baby is. During each location, Carol would insist on making sure she and her baby were front and center. The photographer even asked her a few times to move so that different people could be in different positions, but she refused nearly every time. When the photographer was doing photos of just my parents or just me and my brother, etc., Carol would ask if we wanted to hold her baby, just all around being very pushy and annoying. I could also kind of tell my parents were getting annoyed, but they're very polite and non-confrontational. I finally decided to say something when the photographer wanted to get a photo of me and my mom, and Carol loudly said something along the lines of the baby making the photo look so much better. I snapped at her and said, "Your baby isn't that cute, so just let it go." She got super quiet and didn't say much for the rest of the photo session. John didn't say much either, but wouldn't speak to me and glared at me a few times during the session. Afterwards, my mom pulled me aside and said what I said was completely out of line and I need to apologize to Carol and John. I completely disagree and said Carol needed to stop trying to shove her baby in our faces, even if the baby is part of our family. I refused to apologize, and Carol, John, and my parents haven't spoken to me since the incident, which was about a week ago. I don't think I'm the AH here because everyone was getting annoyed, and I'm just the one who spoke up. AITA? A lot of people are saying I'm the a-hole because I insulted a baby, but the baby will literally never know that I said that. I know I was a little harsh to my future sister-in-law, but it was warranted because not everyone wants to hear about babies and shit like that all the time. I love my future sister-in-law and my brother and the baby. Also, I feel like saying my family is going to go NC is ridiculous because we all love each other through thick and thin. I just think the baby's ugly. Okay, everyone is saying I'm the a-hole. While I disagree, I'll text my future sister-in-law and apologize. YTA. It's societal politeness. We all know people whose babies ain't that cute. Collectively, as humans, we've silently agreed to not be massive dicks, and we never say it under any circumstances. You broke the code.